I'm sure most of you would rather spend the next 3 minutes looking at Dr. Shah Rukh Khan's face or Henry Cavill, but unfortunately you're stuck with me. In a world where we are continuously online, Facebook, Twitter, and various different Instagram, for example, we are continuously judged based on the way we look, and our sense and perception of normality has changed and probably changed forever. And today, I'll be talking about genetically editing human cells, where perhaps one day we'll be able to change our physical traits, reduce or enhance. The sort of concept or theory on designer babies has been percolating since the first test tube baby was conceived in 1978. But the changing of the DNA in human cells is not that easy because we have about 3 billion nucleotides or DNA in your cell, which is then organized in 25,000 files called genes. Genes are essentially recipes that your body uses to cook up the proteins and make the beautiful person that you are. All of us have the same 25,000 genes, yet there are differences in that genetic code, in that recipes. And between two individuals, there are about 15 million differences that perhaps makes you unique, as well as saltier, oilier, or sweeter. So the idea is that to change these specific differences so that we have the speed of Usain Bolt, Einstein's brain, Siti Nurhaliza's voice, or perhaps Kim Kardashian's talent, is perhaps not that easy. But today, we actually have a technology called CRISPR-Cas that allows us to do 3 processes very simplistically, which is to target, to cut, and then to repair. And I'm going to give you an example where in the case of sickle cell disease, where individuals actually have a specific mutation which results in their red blood cells being sickled, and therefore they do not carry enough oxygen, and these people suffer from various different diseases. But with the CRISPR-Cas technology, what happens is that just like a spell check in Microsoft Word, it's able to scan through the DNA, identify that particular mutation, and then cut it through, and finally repair, and therefore your cell now has a new recipe where you've got normal red blood cells and increase or full ability to carry oxygen. And so the disease process is reversed. I use it to try and understand specific genetic mutations in why certain cancers are aggressive. But recently, there were a group of embryologists and geneticists in China that used this technology to modify the DNA in embryos. This makes designer babies no longer science fiction. And therefore, it's a responsibility of the science and society to start balancing and weighing between the positive impact of science and the negative consequence of misuse. Ladies and gentlemen, another important factor that we need to realize is that we are complete as well as complex composite of the genetic factors as well as the environmental factors. And therefore, we also have to realize that the reason why our world is so special is because of the unsung heroes. We tend to celebrate superhuman abilities, we tend to celebrate the way people talk and the way people look. But it is these unsung heroes that work and do the normal things and perhaps perceived as mundane things that makes our world special. And just like Dr. Shah Rukh Khan says, don't underestimate the power of the common man.